Okay. Hello, guys. I hope you are well. Look at me literally touching my face straight away. So, the other website that we used before has decided to go offline, which is, fucking news. But there is another one here that I'm going to link on the homework. And this is the one I'm going to use from now on because it's just as good, if not better. Right, so Act 1, Scene 1. This is obviously the opening of the entire thing. And if you think about the narrative arc that we looked at... Oh, hang on. There we go. Boom. We're right at the start, okay? So we've already got a bit of background from the prologue. We know a bit what's going on. But this is basically what happens. So you will have read it yesterday. Not yesterday, Tuesday. It's yesterday for me. And hopefully understood generally what goes on. So as I talked about in the prologue, we've got a war between two houses. This is a scene that's kind of in two halves. So the first half is the first half is kind of reiterating and kind of really emphasizing on the level of conflict between them, structural feature, and really reminding the audience, because this is a play, remember, it's a play. It's not something that's meant to be spoken at you by some guy in his bedroom. Yeah, me. It's meant to be performed. It's meant to be kind of experienced. First half is about the war, reminding of that. Second half is kind of meeting Romeo, finding out what's going on in his mind, seeing the confusion that I'm hoping that you've picked up on. So we start off with Gregory and Samson, who are two servants of the Capulet household. Now, they are just walking around. They kind of, we see them as a bit of kind of almost a bit of comedic relief at the very beginning. They kind of try to outdo each other all the time. They kind of be a bit laddish. Look, for example, "'Tis true, therefore women, being the weaker vessels, are ever thrust to the wall. Therefore I will push a Montague's men from the wall, and thrust his maids to the wall." So they're kind of joking. Obviously, in today's society, we would kind of look at that and go, "Well, that's a bit weird." But they're kind of joking about, "Oh, I get more girls than you," and it's this kind of bit of comedic relief at the beginning. And then they have that kind of back and forth. Then Abraham and another serving man who's called Balthazar, but Balthazar doesn't speak, enter the scene. And it looks a bit, not at all actually, like this, but this is a decent go at what it looks like.
"My naked weapon is out. Quarrel, I will back thee."
"How? Turn thy back and run?"
"Fear me not."
"No, marry, I fear thee."
"Let us take the law of our side. Let them begin."
"I will frown as I pass by, and let them take it as they list."
"Nay, as they dare. I will bite my thumb at them, which is disgrace to them if they bear it."
"Do you bite your thumb at us, sir?"
"I do bite my thumb, sir."
"Do you bite your thumb at us, sir?"
"Is the law of our side if I say aye?"
"No."
"No, sir, I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, but I bite my thumb, sir."
"Do you quarrel, sir?" "Quarrel, sir?" "No, sir."
"But if you do, sir, I am for you. I serve as a good man as you."
"No better."
"Well, sir."
Believe me, there's going to be bloopers at the end. They're awful. We are terrible people. They are basically a microcosm of the violence between the two houses. This is something that really goes all the way down. This goes all the way down to the most basic of servants, which, these three are, these four. And it's kind of childish, to be honest. It's a bit childish at this point because despite, kind of the big fights and stuff that would happen, they're biting their thumb, a real sign of disrespect in that time. It's basically the middle finger in today's kind of culture. So, it's kind of like someone doing that, kind of going, "Oh no, I'm not swearing at you, I'm just swearing." And they're going, "What? You're swearing at me then?" No, I'm not swearing. You just happen to be there. I'm just swearing for no reason. That's kind of the equivalent of them just biting their thumb at them. Now, yeah. So this is basically a microcosm of the battle that's going on, and we're seeing that it affects everyone. Yeah, we saw in the prologue the line that I'll put down there. I'm actually getting better at editing now. The line in the prologue makes civil blood makes civil hands unclean. Even people who were never involved in the actual fighting of this are becoming, bloody-handed, and they're becoming part of this that was never really in their intention. Also, they fight. We spoke about this with Macbeth last year, but the stage directions for Romeo and Juliet aren't very long. Yeah, it's Shakespeare wanted people to take it in their own way. It's all about the language. Okay, make sure you understand that. Shakespeare is all about the language. It is a play, but it's a play that is telling a story, giving some kind of moral, giving some understanding through the language. Yeah, it's not really through any stage directions. So any stage directions that do happen, we should take note of, because they're quite a rare occurrence, especially if they're detailed stage directions, which we will get to later on in the play. So it says they fight. Obviously, the fight between Hussein and Curtis was frankly embarrassing. But imagine, real passionate conflicts. Okay, so now comes the next part, which you're going to see now.
Hark, fools! Put up thy swords! You know not what you do!
So, Benvolio. Benvolio is Romeo's best mate, as you saw when you read Act 1, Scene 1, Tuesday. Interesting. Benvolio basically is a symbol of peace. Okay? He is a peaceful guy. He wants the conflict to end between the two houses, and he wants to do that in a peaceful and communicative and nice and calm way. Okay? So his very first line in the play, he runs into a few people, servants fighting between the two houses, and he shouts, "Part fools, put up your swords, you know not what you do." Or put up thy swords, whatever. Okay? You know not what you do. That's a key one there. You don't know what you're doing. You don't understand this, but you're still getting involved. You're still getting so het up with this, but you don't get why. Yeah? It's kind of, people have different allegiances and that kind of stuff to, to their country or whatever, and they don't really know why, but they just do. And it's that kind of feeling. And Benvolio is trying to point that out. Part fools, put up thy swords, you know not what you do. Now, because we've got someone who symbolises peace, you can probably guess, because this is a play of two kind of juxtaposing elements, we're going to have someone that completely juxtaposes that. Okay, so Thibault. A lot of people really like Thibault because he's quite a fiery, quite aggressive character. Now, Thibault, we've seen from Benvolio here, he draws his sword, but only to stop the fighting. Yeah, part fools, put up thy swords, you know not what you do. Thibault, however, comes in, does the exact same thing, drawing his sword, but for a very, very different reason. Okay, a juxtapositional reason.
What art thou drawn among these heartless hinds? Turn thee, Benvolio, look upon thy death.
What art thou drawing among these heartless hinds? So Thibault comes in and sees Benvolio, knowing who he is. So Thibault is the nephew of Capulet, so Lord Capulet. So he's a cousin of Juliet. Juliet is the daughter of the leader of the House of Capulet. We'll go into that later on when we meet them. So he walks in, surprised seeing it. Oh, hang on, you're drawn, as in you've got your sword out as well. Hang on, whoa. Among these heartless hinds, yeah? Straight away he's coming in aggressive, going for it. And then he says, "Turn thee, Benvolio, look upon thy death." Straight away walks in and says, "All right, Benvolio, mate, I'm going to kill you. Yeah, kind of, that's it. And we're seeing two very, very different characters there clashing, okay? And then obviously Benvolio, when they fight down here, will be on the defense, and Thibault will definitely be on the offense, on the attacking side. So, this all kicks off. We see Capulet and Lady Capulet coming in. So, give me my longsword. So, a longsword is a huge, powerful thing, showing the Capulet is, he's willing to fight himself. Although his wife does ask him not to, so why call for a sword? Old Montague and wife come in, so Lord Montague. Quite some. There's quite harsh language thrown out of the side. Calling someone a villain. Yeah, in your context research, you should have looked at the fact that honour was a huge part of society in these times. Calling someone a villain would be worse than swearing at them. Yeah, in their own version of swearing. But saying someone is just evil and a villain would be very kind of, piercing for them. Now, then we get Prince Escalus, which you're going to see now.
Rebellious subjects, enemies to peace, profaners of this neighbour-stained steel. What will I not hear? What ho! You men, you beasts, that quench the fire of your pernicious rage, with purple fountains issuing from your veins, on pain of torture from those bloody hands, throw your mistempered weapons to the ground. And hear the sentence of your moved prince. 3 civil brawls bred of an airy word by the old Capulet and Montague have thrice disturbed the quiet of our streets, and made Verona's ancient citizens, cast by their grave beseeming ornaments, to wield old partisans and hands as old, cankered with peace, to part your cankered hate. If ever you disturb our streets again, your lives shall pay the forfeit of the peace. For this time all the rest depart away. You, Capulet, shall go along with me, and Montague, come you this afternoon to know our further pleasure in this case, to our old free town, our common judgment place. Once more, on pain of death, all men depart.
So, Prince, you should remember probably from Macbeth that royalty was seen as the ultimate, yeah? They were kind of the bridge between humanity and God. There was royalty kind of the link between, because they're chosen by God, etc. So the height of respect was had for royalty in this time. But this little monologue here really, really kind of shows how bloody and violent and passionate the war was between the two families, okay? Because of the fact that, you'll see it in the video that we just did, but he walks in, rebellious subjects, enemies to peace, profaners of this neighbour-stained steel. And no one does anything, they're still fighting. Will they not hear? What? And he really kind of belts it out, yeah? Whenever I've seen Romeo and Juliet live, Prince always belts that line there. Will they not hear? Yeah, they're raging. Why not listening to me? I am your prince, pal. Yeah? You need to get in line right now. But they're not. And it's only at that point that people start to listen and realise, whoa, hang on, he's here. But they're so passionate in the war, they don't even notice. Okay? So one of your tasks, as you've seen, is going to be looking at this speech. Okay? How is the idea of power presented? And how is Prince's power presented? And you can kind of take that any way you wish. Okay? There are a few parts that we're going to pick out in the lesson as well. So have a look at those. So one of them is going to be rebellious subjects, enemies to peace. Okay. What's the next one? Mistempered weapons to the ground. Okay. And then thrice disturb the quiet of our streets. And what actually that means. I don't just mean kind of word for word. But you have thrice disturbed the quiet of our streets. Okay. Think about what that says about Prince's power, his influence, and if it works is really kind of what we need to think about. Does it work? Does it people actually listen to him and change their ways because of it? despite probably actually believing that he is chosen by God, etc. Okay. And this one. Once more on pain of death, all men depart. So they're threatened to get out of there, or you're going to die. Okay. Right. So have a look at that task, and then we'll move on to our old pal Benvolio and Romeo. Now, at this point, we're seeing Montague, so Lord Montague. When it says Montague, it's Lord Montague, because Lady Montague is known as Lady, hence that. Kind of like Macbeth and Lady Macbeth from last year. He wants to know what happens, who set this ancient quarrel new abroach. So that word there, look, new, that adjective. The fact he's saying new, and he knows that... Sorry, we know as an audience that there's going to be new mutiny. Because you remember from the prologue, it says new mutiny. Okay? So there's going to be new elements to this war. And he wants to find out where Romeo has been, and what is going on there. So, Romeo's mother, Lady Montague, says, where is Romeo? Saw you him today. Right glad I am he was not at this fray. Fray meaning fight, which I'll put in the video in a second. Benvolio says that he has, he's shunned himself, and he's run away from him all the time, and he's not being himself, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So Romeo then comes in. Oh, I do actually want to mention this part, look, because again, in your context, you should have known that often parents didn't really raise their kids in this time. It was done; they would hire other people to do it for them, basically, which we're going to see in kind of the next following few scenes. But Lord Montague at this point says, "Could we but learn from whence his sorrows grow," meaning Romeo, "we would as willingly give cure as no." Okay, so we would willingly give cure. So his father, Lord Montague, seems like he actually does want to help. And actually seems like a pretty decent father at this point. But it's that Romeo isn't giving anything away, he doesn't know why anything is going on. So Romeo and Benvolio then talk, and you will see that now.
Good morrow, cousin. Is the day so young? But new, struck 9. Ay me, sad hour seems long. Was that my father that went hence so fast?
It was. What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours?
Not having that which makes them short.
In love?
Out.
Of love?
Out of a favour, for I am in love.
Oh, alas, that love, so gentle in his view, should be so tyrannous and rough in proof.
Alas, that love, whose view is muffled still, should without eye see pathways to his will. Where shall we dine? Oh, me, what fray was here? Yet tell me not, for I have heard it all. There's too much to do with hate, but more with love. Why then, O brawling love, O loving hate, O anything of nothing first creates, O heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick hell, still waking sleep. That is not what it is. This love feel I, that feel no love in this. Did thou not laugh?
No, cuz, I rather weep.
Good heart, at what?
At thy good heart's oppression.
Why such is love's transgression? Grief of mine own lies heavy in my breast, which thou wilt propagate to have it pressed with more of thine. This love that thou hast shown doth add more grief to too much of mine own. Love is a smoke made of the fume of sighs, being purged, a fire sparking in lover's eyes, being vexed, a sea nourished with lover's tears. What is else? A madness more discreet, a choking gale, and a preserving sweet. Farewell, my cuz.
All right, so when you see on these scripts, you'll see that it's a bit further in. So you'll see this part, look. That means that he's not kind of waiting his turn. He's going to start talking around here. Yeah? And he's going to start talking around here. So his mind is elsewhere. He's not really in a conversation. He's just kind of speaking his thoughts a little bit. He's not really in the zone. So, we see a bit of a relationship between Romeo and Benvolio. Benvolio wants to help. It's not just because Lord Montague's asked him to see what's wrong with Romeo, but he actually wants to help him. He wants to know what's going on. Now, at this point, that's the fray that I mentioned earlier. So Romeo notices the big fight that's happened. He sees kind of things on the floor, maybe some drops of blood. No one dies, but he notices there's been a bit of an occurrence wherever they are, in the street. He then says, "Tell me not, for I've heard it all." So whatever he's got going on is worse than the war continuing. Now, it doesn't really seem like his priority is the war at this point. Then we get all these oxymorons, which could be your next task. Brawling love, loving hate, anything of nothing first create, heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep, etc. Okay, we're going to see a pattern, through there. We're going to see a pattern of oxymorons in this play. There's a few times they pop up, and it's for a very similar reason in kind of the fabric of this play. But we see Benvolio is a nice guy. Romeo says, "I've just," he's realised he's just done all this kind of emoting, and he says, "Oh, you're not laughing at me." Benvolio says, "No, cuz I'd rather weep. I'd rather cry than laugh." And he says it's that your good heart's oppression. You're a good man, but you're being oppressed. You're putting yourself down. Yeah. Now, we also then want to talk about how this one ends. Okay. So we see that Romeo actually is in love. And you think, oh, is it Juliet? Has he met her already? It's off stage. No. He is in absolute love with a woman called Rosaline. And basically, she's not giving him any time of day, and he's absolutely heartbroken by it. Okay? So, with your last task of looking at the different characters and what they may kind of symbolise and represent, think about what Romeo's will be. Okay? He is someone who is wearing his heart on his sleeve almost. What kind of character would that be? Yeah. And he's not really bothered about the big war or the fight that's just happened. He's more bothered about the fact that when someone doesn't kind of give that love back to him. So I think that will be enough for that one. Obviously, we will be looking at kind of, to be honest, we'll be coming out to this scene because it's a really key one anyway. But I do want to kind of get moving through each of them. So, yeah, I reckon those 3 tasks are enough. I'll be nice, shall I? For once in my life, it's what it to me. Yeah, you might want to stick around for the bloopers at the end as well. Any questions, let me know, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Oh no.
Is that in the bloopers reel? Or...
Just go.
No, because you went. Oh, okay, right. Oh, sorry. This is really hard. Okay.
Why love is why.
Do bite my thumb, sir.
Do you bite your thumb at us, sir?
Oh, sorry. I just stole your line.
No, you didn't.
Which one? Am I Samson?
Your sister's not dead.
It's from extras. Okay, so that's right. So don't look at the camera. Where's the marker on the floor where he needs to stand?
Right, get your naked weapon out. Come on.
Okay. I'll pull it out.
Good morrow, cousin. Fight,
Oh,
fight,
is that it?
fight.
Yep. You gonna do that? Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Where am I starting from?
My naked weapon's out.
Oh, for God's sake. Start again, start again.
Out. That's more the claymore. Oh, I'm a berserker.
No, sir! I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, but I do bite my thumb, sir.
Quarrel, sir. That's my line. Who am I? Can we do the whole thing?
That's very much like a Prince song, that
The
is.
whole thing? Yeah. Lost the page. Sick.
I'll wear it backwards. No, I'd wear it like... Cool, I'll wear it like a bro. Well, sir.
I hate the word.
You're allergic to eggs. You can't egg anyone. I'm not going to water. The lady leg. Go to the side now. Go to the side.
Oh. Do you bite your thumb as an eek? Oh, sorry. Sorry, isn't it?
Can we start again?
Yes, you're
Rude is really rude. You've done it as well. It's just harder than it looks. Who'd be an actor? Acting is hard.
Who are you?
So shall I? No, I'm not going to stop to speak because I can do that with my editing.